The heroes of the Grand National Cross Country Series are ready to challenge the South Carolina wilderness. Defending champion Shane Watts leads the field into round 4, having already won 2 races. Fast, furious, tight, and twisty, GNCC Racing is next on Fox Sports Net. Under a clear blue sky, the woods at Big Buck Ranch in Cross Anchor, South Carolina, today will be filled with the best motorcycle off-road racers in the world. Round 4 of the Grand National Cross Country Series.
Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Myers, joined by Fox Sports Net off-road racing expert Mark Hyde. Mark, you know, the series so far has been pretty much a Shane Watts dominant series, if we could call it that. The field had a brief bit of success at round 2, but frankly, they're trying to figure out how they can whip the champ.
Well, I tell you, one way that they're not going to beat the champ is waiting for Shane to beat himself. Shane is really on a roll right now. He's not making many mistakes, and when he does make a mistake, he seems to do it early in the race. It gives himself a chance to catch back up and put himself in position to be on that podium when the day's at the end. So I tell you, the way it is right now, off-road racing in America has gone up a notch.
A quick look at the points shows Shane still out in front. Rodney Smith could not build on his win and came home with another 6th place finish in North Carolina. Mark, what do you think we could look for here in South Carolina?
Well, Larry, I think we're going to see Shane Watts and Rodney Smith back up front again. Also, the Team Kawasaki guys of Fred Andrews and Paul Edmondson, they're healthy, they're going fast. And also, I think a guy that we're going to see for the first time at the front of the pack is Randy Hawkins. Randy lives about an hour here from South Carolina, and these are the woods he grew up on.
Well, the riders are set to go racing. Our Bob Walker is on the track, ready to set the field. We'll go to him.
Here with the #1 bike of Shane Watts. Shane, back on top of the podium last week. How does it feel?
Yeah, it felt really good. I got the victory again last weekend. I'm looking for the same today. Got the right machinery. My KTM 200 is working absolutely unreal. It's a nice fine day here today. It's going to be, I think, a really good sensational race.
We're expecting record temperatures. How's the conditioning?
Yeah, I've been working a lot with my fitness, and it's feeling good. It worked well last time, and I don't see any problems with it, and hopefully I've done my homework and I'll come out on top today.
There we go with defending champion Shane Watts. Next to Shane is the #7 bike for Team Suzuki, Jimmy Jarrett. Jimmy, on the podium for the first time last week. You ready to win one this week?
Oh, definitely, without a doubt.
Any plans?
Just get a good start, be up front all day, and hopefully pull out a win.
Great, Jimmy. Next to Jimmy with Team KTM, Mike Lafferty coming off a win in Louisiana in the National Enduro race. Mike, snake bitten last week. You gonna win it this weekend?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna give it a try. You know, coming off a National Enduro win and riding good, bike's running good. KTM 250's hooked up, so hopefully I can get her on the podium.
Great, Mike. And next to Mike Lafferty, we have with Team Suzuki, the #31 bike of Rodney Smith. He's a 2-time champion here in the GNCCs. Rodney, you got a great line position today.
Yeah, thank you. I got a pretty good straight shot at the first turn, and hopefully I can get a little better start than I did 2 weeks ago.
Now let's take a look at the Kawasaki starting lineup. Paul Edmondson, #2, Fred Andrews, #3. 2 riders that we have not talked to as of yet who have not been at their healthiest. Injuries for the first round of the season knocked them out of contention. They're back now and should be just about ready to go. We mentioned Freddie Andrews. There he is, Mark. How healthy is he?
Freddie should be 100% for the first time this week in the series. He had a great ride at the last round. He was 5th overall, and you know he's looking to move up from there.
There's Doug Blackwell. He's another rider that is looking to move up. Has not fared well so far this season. And Josh McLeavey, one of the younger riders on the tour. The Grand National Cross Country Series is brought to you by KTM Sport Motorcycles and by CD Boots. Welcome back. This is Shane Watts, who has gone back to the pits and is changing his brake assembly, Mark.
Yes, he went down to the starting line, and he, at the last race, the time he rode it, he noticed his rear brakes were going away right at the end of the race. And usually he's so hard on the brakes, he just thought he had boiled his fluid. So he changed the fluid since the last time, thought it was good, never checked the bike. On the way to the starting line just a few minutes ago, he had the same problem, and so he was kind of in a panic. So he went back, stole the complete assembly off his practice bike, It's onto the race bike. We'll see if it works.
Here are the track facts. The course is 12 miles long, 2 miles longer than the ATV race. Concluded our 4 grass tracks, 1 checkpoint, and Christmas Tree Lane at the 11-mile mark. That's where Bob Walker is.
Today's race in Big Buck, South Carolina may come down to Christmas Tree Lane. This section of track, less than 1.5 miles from the finish line, is a tight, narrow pine tree section laced with cat claw. I walked the track earlier this morning and the cat claw tore my arms up. Look what it did to them here. Think what it's going to do to the riders when they're coming through here on their bikes. There are going to be very few opportunities to make passes. If you're a leader coming through here on the last lap and can get a lapper between you and the field, you're almost guaranteed victory. If you don't get by those lappers, they're going to stop you in your tracks and allow the field to catch up to you, determine the outcome between here and the finish line. Right here is one of those sections that you can make the pass. It's a tight uphill section going across a creek bed. We are going to be watching this section closely today and seeing how Christmas Tree Lane is going to affect the outcome in round 4.
Well, thanks, Bob, and we are set for the start.
10 seconds. And these guys are ready to work up as much as we are. This is going to be an awesome day.
A dead engine start, and they are off.
Yeah, Mike Lafferty, he got the jump on everybody there, but he took everybody a little bit wide. Jason Raines snuck underneath. Freddie Andrews, Robbie Jenks, Shane Watts is up there. Rodney Smith is right behind him.
And Mike Lafferty recovered. Lafferty, I think, was in 4th or 5th position. So we have got some fast riders up front, but Steve Hatch, rider number 4, was trailing the pack. What happened to him?
He just didn't get a good jump off the line there with this fast crowd. He's going to be in bad shape today to try to get back up with that lead group.
Oh, that will be so difficult. These riders are riding, what, 99.9%?
Yeah, they are. And look at them coming through the woods here. There's guys coming from all different directions here.
Now, that is legal. You do have a course, and the course is laid out. However, you can vary like 25 foot either side of that course. And there's Randy Hawkins. You mentioned him earlier. Randy up to 15th place, I believe.
Yeah, here's a replay of that start. We can see the KTM's Mike Lafferty got a great jump. He's in there, but he went a little bit wide there. And that enabled Jason Raines to sneak underneath there and get out in front here early. And you can see Steve Hatch clear at the back of the pack.
Indeed, Hatch was next to last, and as we said, that is going to be tough. Here they come, working their way through the woods, and here comes Lafferty choosing an alternate route. Andrews follows him. Whoa, look at him jump into that ditch. And Rodney Smith followed suit. I know that Mike Lafferty took the lead, and Andrews is in 2nd. I'm not sure that Smith got 3rd, but boy, they made some ground up there, and now they are all going that way.
Yeah, this section of the track, it's a really neat section. If you go off to the left side of the screen, you go down and around through the creek, but the faster riders, this is actually about a 10-foot drop that they're jumping over. So the B&C riders, they want to stay away from that line.
Let's jump on board with the KTM Moto Cam, and we will follow, I believe that's Fred Andrews. No, Paul Edmondson. Paul Edmondson.
Yeah, we have the Team Green Riders. You know, you got them confused because these guys have been out with injuries, but Paul and Fred, they're both healthy for this race, but we'll see if the heat that we're going to have today, it's well up into the 80s, is going to affect these guys since they haven't been riding as much as the rest of the group.
Well, there's no question that I confuse easily, Mark. I'm not confused here, though, as I watch, and I'm not confused when I say he is going fast on very, very rough terrain and very tight terrain.
Yes, and then out front, Mike Lafferty. Michael, he's good at going fast early in the race because he does enduros. Oh, getting a little wide there. Taking a look back, he sees Freddie, and you know, we talked about Fred's health. Looks like it's not a problem so far.
You're absolutely right. Rodney Smith trailed in 3rd, and it was number 9, Jason Raines, in 4th place. And here is our defending champ. He is back, about 6th place, I believe.
Yeah, he's right behind Robbie Jenks there. You know, Shane, he's probably still a little bit nervous with that brake problem. You know, he didn't really get a chance to test it going down to the starting line, so he's, you know, testing it under fire here. And this is actually a good start for Watsy compared to the race 2 weeks ago when he was started about 15th or 20th place. So this is much better.
Back aboard with the KTM Moto Cam, taking a tour through the tight woods and letting you see exactly what the riders are going through. Look at that. Look how tight that is, and look how fast they're able to go.
Yeah, and we talked about it just a little bit ago. Mike Lafferty, the National Enduro champ, this is his specialty. These nice tight woods, the first lap, he charges out there. And this is a good chance to see how these woods should be ridden.
Well, the fact that our KTM Moto Cam is behind Mike Lafferty indicates that Mike has opened up a slight gap over Fred Andrews in second, Rodney Smith in third, and Rains in fourth. Welcome back to GNCC Racing, and a change atop the leaderboard as Fred Andrews has taken over the front runner's position. He's followed by Rodney Smith and Jason Rains, and here comes Mike Lafferty, their early leader.
Yeah, and Shane Watts is right behind him with Robbie Jenks, Mike Kardowski, Josh McLeavy, Paul Edmondson. These guys, just like we saw 2 weeks ago, they just can't get away from each other.
It is not uncommon in GNCC Racing to see a group of riders like this one following each other the entire length of the race, swapping positions back and forth. That's what makes this such an extremely exciting race.
Yes, early in the race, usually up until about gas, you know, the guys are studying the course, learning the course, just playing a little cat and mouse game with each other. Sometimes some people don't really want to lead, other riders do want to lead. So they spend about the first hour and a half just kind of getting things sorted out.
This is one of the 4 grass tracks on the course. Fred Andrews should be putting some distance between himself and the rest of the field. As soon as I said that, it dawned on me that Rodney Smith, who is running in second place, is also a past professional motocrosser, and those other guys are keeping up, so just disregard everything that I said about Fred being so good in this.
Yeah, and Freddie too, a thing, because he might not be 100% endurance-wise, even though health-wise he's 100%. Being out front, when he gets into the tight sections, he'll probably be able to control the pace. He might slow down a little bit, especially that Christmas tree lane, back it down a little bit where you know he can't be passed, and then save some energy so at the end of the race he's fresh.
And Mike Lafferty has moved up to the number 3 position again, so Lafferty making a mistake someplace back in the woods, paid that price, dropped back to 4th, but again, he is on the gas and on the move. As a matter of fact, Lafferty managed to take over the front runner spot one more time. Now he's followed by Fred Andrews, rider number 3, and out of the dust comes Rodney Smith. These guys are just hovering right there, looking for mistakes.
Yeah, and Michael, being the enduro rider, we keep harping on that, but when you get in those tight woods like that, that's where he excels, and he's using that to his advantage. Oh, and Randy Hawkins is moving up nicely. Randy had a real poor start. He was back there just in front of Steve Hatch a little ways, but this is about an hour from Randy's house. He's used to these type of terrains and conditions. Doug Blackwell getting a little wide there, but Michael, he's bringing it in first here at the end of the lap here.
You mentioned Blackwell. He got a little wide and wild. If that tree had not had an opening beside it, I think he would have been in the middle of it. Now, lap number 1 is in the book as evidenced by Mike Lafferty coming through the check, then Fred Andrews, and then Rodney Smith. That's the top 3. You know, these riders that travel this tour very seldom travel it alone. Most of them have a wife or a girlfriend to keep them company. Let's meet some of them and find out where they met.
I met her actually through a friend of mine at home that used to get his hair cut through her sister. So I met her out in California. I got a girlfriend I've been dating for 2 years, and she's really into the racing, and it works out really good. You know, she gets into it.
How'd you guys meet?
We met at a race, at a local motocross race, actually, is where we met. So.
Her name's Kristen. We met actually at probably, I think it was the local county fair race. I just met her there, and then, you know, one thing led to another, and then we eventually started going out dating, and we've been married now for about 6 years and have a beautiful little 2-year-old, or not 2, almost 2-year-old daughter. So it's her name's Ireland.
Her name's Mandy, and like usual, met her at a dirt bike race. So yeah, nothing unusual about that. Yeah, it was actually at the last round of the GNCC Championship last year. We just met there, and yeah, one thing's led to another, and she's sort of been to most of the races this year, so things are going well, and see where it goes to from there.
That sounds a little on the serious side from the defending champion.
Yeah, I thought racing was the only thing Shane took seriously.
Mike Lafferty still out front. He was followed by Fred Andrews, then Rodney Smith. Jason Rains holding down the number 4 position as they hit another portion of this course, another grass track, I should say.
Yeah, Jason, he's only 22 years old. He's come from Seattle, Washington, but he's actually moved back to Pennsylvania so he can devote his time to this series 100%. Oh, look at Shane Watts. He's in a hurry, it seems like.
And Randy Hawkins up over the top.
Yeah, Robbie Jenks is right behind him. Chucky Woodford, Doug Blackwell, these guys, Jimmy Jarrett. We've seen these guys 2 weeks ago. They were about the same size of group.
There is not a huge distance between first place and all the way back to 12th or 13th.
It just goes to show you the depth of the field. There are so many talented riders out there. It's really difficult for a guy to get away anymore like it used to be.
And here comes Josh McLeavy, and he was up to make a pass and got the job done over number 9, Jason Raines.
A couple of those young guys. There's Mike Lafferty getting a pit signal, kind of shaking his head there a little bit. I wonder what that was about.
I think he was saying, let me out of here, let me out of here. Or maybe throw that board into the front wheel of Fred Andrews. Give me a break. Andrews, Rodney Smith. Boy, those guys are going fast and tight. It's some tight competition. Lafferty looks over his shoulder and sees a face full of green and says, let me back into the woods.
Yes, and Mike Kradowski, he's moved up there nicely. Oh, here we have 2 former world champions, Paul Edmondson and Shane Watts. They banged bars in Europe for years, and now it's same action, but just in different continent.
We'll be back with more. Stick with us, because this is getting exciting. Welcome back to Grand National Cross Country Championship Racing. There is your leader, Michael Lafferty, and a different route taken by Fred Andrews in second. Rodney Smith followed Lafferty. I'm not sure which was faster there as Josh McLeavy takes the traditional tail, but I think Fred was looking to get a little leg up there.
Yes, these guys, they're going fast and furious through the woods. There's going to be some alternate lines open up as the day goes on. You can see Randy Hawkins. You know, that line to the inside must be a little quicker. He gets around Shane Watts right there.
He did. That's some enduro training.
Yes, it is, and we have 2 enduro guys making some time here today. The rest of the group, they're still all bunched up together. Mike Kradowski's up to 4th place.
Josh McLeavy in 5th, and comes Jason Raines as we go back aboard with our KTM Moto Cam, and we will be following
Jason Raines, number 9 here on Team Yamaha. We jumped in behind him. You saw that pie plate up there that said mile marker number 7, so that's where we're at on the course. And the riders use those mile markers to help pick out good lines on the course when they know something's coming up. Really helps them out throughout the day playing their race strategy.
For a guy that has never done this, it is extremely difficult to understand just how fast they are going and dodging trees in the process.
Well, the way this moto cam's shaking up and down, those guys are in a big hurry.
And back in the pits, we're told there's some kind of a brake problem with Steve Hatch. They brought his motorcycle in, or Steve came in, and they have bled the brake line.
Yes, Marshall Plum is a mechanic. He's a top-notch guy. He probably changed that fluid pretty quick. As we mentioned earlier, it's a very hot day out there today, and Steve is one of those guys that drags his rear brake a lot, creates a lot of heat, and since there's no moisture on the course, there's no creek crossings to cool that fluid down, and with Steve's riding style, it just probably boiled the fluid. They'll put new fluid in. He should be good to go now.
He should be. He was well behind at the start, and now he has lost considerable more time. So what will Steve do? Will he ride for points, see what he can get?
Yes, with the new point system where every race counts, Mike Lafferty back in the lead up there, but with the new point system, every race counts, so he's got to get out there and get some good finishes. Boy, this just has turned into a hard luck day for Steve from the get-go.
Oh, and did you see the roost that McLeavy got off the rear wheel of Mike Kradowski's motorcycle?
Mike, he tends to be a little heavy-handed on that clutch, and a lot of guys, when you're behind him, get a face full of roost.
Well, then the best thing to do is get out in front of him. Randy Hawkins continues his move toward the front. Rider number 11, the former Grand National Enduro champion many times over. Here again is your leader, Mike Lafferty, 13, followed by Fred Andrews, number 3. And here comes the 2-time series champion, rider number 31, Rodney Smith.
Yeah, I was talking to Rodney after the last race. He was really disappointed in himself. Oh, boy, did you see Michael get through those trees? Look how much faster he went through there than Fred.
I'll tell you this, the trees are not as far apart as the width of Lafferty's handlebars. Let's go to the pits where Bob Walker has a report.
Thanks, guys. As you know earlier, Steve Hatch was having problems with his rear disc brake system. Obviously, the problem has not gone away. He supposedly has no rear brakes on lap 2. He's going to be coming into the pits, and they're going to put a new disc brake system on the bike. They have pulled the rear brake system from his practice bike. They have it set up here and ready to go. They'll be switching out the brake system, refueling him with gas, and getting more fresh water. There are record temperatures here today, and people are having problems with their rear brakes. We're going to be keeping an eye on that throughout today's races.
Larry, that makes you wonder, you know, if Shane Watts is going to have more problems. But one thing with Steve, the Suzuki guys, Marshall Plum, Casey Bolton, they'll be on top of that, and they'll get that brake changed in a hurry.
Well, as the leaders put one more lap in the book, we would tell you that on this 12-mile course, the riders do have some assistance in that some of the factory spotters are on the course. Rodney Smith getting gas, and they are able to say, this guy needs brakes, get that word back to the pits, and they will be set up and ready to go for him.
Yes, and we just saw Rodney go through the pits, get gas in and out real quick. He's kind of disappointed in himself after his race 2 weeks ago. He's really looking to make amends.
Lafferty, Andrews, Smith, Kiprowski. That's the running order, and we'll be back. Welcome back. There's Mike Lafferty, followed by Fred Andrews, and still it's Rodney Smith close behind in third place. Lafferty is a three-time National Enduro champion, and he and his KTM are used to just a little bit slower pace under normal racing conditions than you find out here in the woods.
You're going to make Michael mad when you say slower pace. It's just a fast pace, but different kind of racing, I guess I'm trying to say.
Well, he gets to ride fast, or he does ride fast, but he does it for short distances. He doesn't have to go like 4 hours is what I was alluding to.
There you go.
In any event, he's a former Enduro champion. I got that out. Race conditions here today, it's very hot, very humid. And I'm questioning now, with a combination of that plus the dust, is that going to be a tiring situation for the riders that they'll have to face into by the end of the day?
Yes, it is, and that's where Rodney Smith, Fred Andrews, Steve Hatch, Shane Watts really thrive. Rodney is in excellent shape, and he really likes these type of conditions where he feels it's a big advantage to him the hotter and tougher the races are.
There's Michael Lafferty on the grass track. Michael going a little bit wide on that corner. We've seen him do that a couple of times today. Fred Andrews and Rodney Smith close behind. Michael gets around the grass tracks, I think, amazingly fast for a guy that has had no motocross experience. He's just done it through some practice, went to a couple of schools, and he has gotten better and better at it. Josh McLeavy, rider number 711, just flashing by our screen, and here is... well, that would be rider number 12.
That's Mike Kardowski up there.
Another former motocrosser.
Yep, and Jason Raines was still up there in a fourth place. Here's Shane Watts. Shane, you know, this is typical Wattsy here. He kind of hangs out near the front, doesn't do anything exciting, and then at the last end, he pounces on these guys.
Mike Lafferty hollering at a possible lap rider in front of him.
There's Freddie Andrews right up there. Freddie looks like he's back to his old form. The injury's 100%. It's just the heat that we're questioning today. Josh McLeavy, he's, you know, one of the other younger riders that's really improved quickly these last few races.
Lafferty, Andrews, Rodney Smith.
And Jason Raines.
And Raines opened up a slight gap over the fifth place rider, which would be McLeavy.
Well, you can hear Watts' brakes squeaking there. He's riding those new brakes hard. You know, you got to question if they're going to hold up for the whole day.
Shane Watts, if you recall at the beginning of the race, had to leave the actual starting line during the countdown process, went back to his truck, replaced the brake assembly, and he arrived at the start line for the start just a few seconds prior to the actual start. So he had no chance to really adjust properly the brakes. He's kind of out there, well, I think kind of a hit and miss type situation. Is it going to stop this lap? Is it going to stop the rest of the laps?
I think if it's, you know, the noise has me a little concerned, but he rides his brakes a lot like Steve Hatch. In every race we hear him squeaking, but it's kind of early in the race maybe for him to be squeaking that much. It's one of those things we've got to watch throughout the day and see if it affects his lap times. One guy who's having some good lap times out there is Mike Lafferty. We've seen him running at the front of the races a lot more as the series progresses.
Lafferty with a look behind him sees Fred Andrews, who turns around and sees in turn Rodney Smith, who, if he looks backwards, we'll see Jason Raines.
Boy, those front guys, they starting to get a little bit of space here, and then we have Mike Kardowski. We touched on a thing earlier, finishing all the races this year, and Mike is a perfect example of that. At the one race, he bike locked up in third gear. Another race, his helmet got ripped off his head, but he still finished both of them with this new point system. That could pay off big dividends for Mike come the end of the year.
And rider number 1, Shane Watts, and number 2, Paul Edmondson, still hanging tough, fairly close together. Just a short gap back to number 11, Randy Hawkins. You know, we see, as we take another ride with a KTM Moto Cam, we see Mike Kidrowski, who is a 4-time national motocross champion, out on a racetrack, and he is not able to gain on these guys. Now, that'll give you some idea as to how fast they're going.
Yes, it is, and it's just a different type of racing. We jump in here behind Josh McLevy. We get to see what the guys out there in the woods are going through, and a lot of nice tree sections. The ground is looking pretty good in the woods. Out in the open, it's dusted up a little bit, but the woods is looking pretty nice right now.
Now, this is a gnarly track. We're not looking at some paved highway through the woods here. You can see the camera bouncing around, taking a severe beating, and that means the guy that is sitting directly under that helmet is
look
having all
at Freddie.
kinds of problem that Fred Andrews has taken over the number 1 position. And I think Rodney Smith had snuck in for second, and that dropped Lafferty back to third.
Wow, and this is looks like a pretty technical section here. It's one of the few places on the course where there's any mud. But the pro guys, they just seem to come down there, grab a little bit of throttle, a little bit of clutch, and jump that ditch.
And here's a lap rider.
2 lap riders, and they're going to have some company. Oh, Freddie splits right between them there.
Well, they're the bread in a sandwich. They just got to be holding their breath, and they don't want to. I would take another look at that section of the racetrack. It is a gully with some mud off the left side of your screen, and the riders are making newer and newer and newer lines each time they come around.
Yeah, Shane did a nice job of going off to the right there. Oh, and here's a guy that didn't follow that good line Shane just picked.
And it's our CD Boots Thrill Seeker shot of the day. You get 1 inch off course, and that's that's what. Now that's the way I would get it out of the woods. My hat's off to you, buddy. I'm laughing with you. Well, he's probably not laughing. Not at you. That's what I wanted to say. Here's our leader, Andrews, followed by. Oh, Lafferty has a problem. Killed his engine momentarily. He got it fired immediately. Smith is in second place, Lafferty in third, and Rain still holds fourth. Oh, this is tight. Welcome back to GNCC Racing. The guy in a green motorcycle, number 3, is Fred Andrews. He has taken over the front runner's position from Michael Lafferty, who led throughout most of the early parts of the race. Now, Rodney Smith has moved into second place, and Lafferty, I believe, is back in third. Jason Raines now is in third place.
Boy, Jason, as they get the 2-lap card is out, there's 2 more laps to go. So we've got just a little less than an hour of racing, and Freddie's coming in for some pits.
Now, we saw the back of Lafferty's motorcycle as Fred gets the gas, and Lafferty was undoing the tank. Either that or he was, he was just really fatigued and going very slow. There he is right there.
Yeah.
You think Andrews got in there and out of there in a hurry?
Well, his pit crew was definitely in a big hurry to get him in and out of there.
He was. Let's go to Bob Walker. He's standing by in Shane Watts' pit, and I believe that Shane is going to gas this time.
Shane Watts pulling into the pits. You can hear his rear brakes squeaking. He's been riding the brakes hard today. Switching out his goggles. Just waiting for the fuel to go in. Takes a quick little splash of water. Out he goes.
Was that a factory mechanic pouring that gas for Shane Watts?
Shane doesn't know what a factory mechanic is. He's, he's the lone wolf out there. He likes to do everything pretty much his own, and whoever can get gas for him, that's who'll do it. Oh, look at Rodney. He's getting the twist back there a little bit.
Now, Josh McLevy was up there. Did McLevy dodge the gas that time?
Yeah, we had a couple guys pit a lap ago, and a few guys pitted this lap, so it's really mixed up the front order there, but Freddie's still our leader, though.
We know this. Fred Andrews is the leader. Now, see, there is Rodney Smith. He's running in the number 2 position. And was that not McLevy that just went by in third?
Yes, McLevy, and then Mike Kardowski, he's back in 4th, and Jason Raines is in 6th.
And there's Paul Edmondson in 7th place. That last round of fuel stops has tightened up the field considerably. Right behind Edmondson comes the number 1 machine of the defending champ, Shane Watts. Shane's in 8th place. In 9th, we will have Randy Hawkins, 6-time national enduro champion. For more on the South Carolina native, here's Jen Hildreth.
A day in the life of Yamaha rider Randy Hawkins is not easy to define, and he likes it that way. During the week, Hawkins could be a businessman, a farmer, a hunter, or of course, a motorcycle rider.
Monday I spend watching my bikes, getting all my gear out, unloading the trailer, getting everything kind of in order, putting it in my shop. Then yeah, go to my wash machine, wash all my gear. Once I get all that going, then I go check out and make sure the goats and the donkeys and the sheep are, got a little feeding on them and make sure they're all fine, and then usually ride into the pasture and check out, make sure the fences are up, nothing's out, all the animals and buffalo, everything seems to be pretty healthy. And by that time I'm looking in the afternoon, time all that's done, and then if I get a chance, I'll probably run in my office and see if I can find the bottom of my desk for messages that have been left, because I've been gone 2 or 3 days. Me and my father, at least once a week, we'll sit down and have a quick little meeting between us, where we're going, what's our decisions, some of the nuts. See, we wasn't here 5 minutes and they already looking for them.
Randy Hawkins certainly knows there is a life beyond racing, but he also knows how big a part of his life racing has been.
And like I was telling you earlier, the other part of the house, we have no idea there's any motorcycles anywhere around, and kind of what I've done, I've dedicated this room to my motorcycles, which actually these bikes pretty much built the building I live in, so I wanted to have a place for them. And it's a lot easier to, when somebody wants to see, okay, well, Randy, what you done, or you have any pictures or anything like it.
The massive collage chronicles Randy's successful career as America's premier enduro rider. But despite owning 6 national championships, Hawkins knows there's still a lot to learn for him about this form of off-road racing.
I've been geared up for sprinting my whole career, and now this GNCC thing has made a different learning curve. And it's the best learning curve for me is ride with guys like Shane Watts, Freddie Andrews, Rodney Smith, catch up to their pace, fill them out, and I think, to be honest with you, everybody out there is a learning curve, and I think you can learn until the day you quit riding.
When Hawkins will quit riding is still a question mark. He said as long as he's competitive, he wants to continue racing. But in the meantime, he hasn't put the rest of his life on hold. Randy and Kathy tied the knot less than a year ago.
And she's really great with all the guys coming through. I mean, I know it puts a lot of pressure on her when I've got 6 or 8 guys, and she's trying to keep things in order, keeping dinner on the table and stuff for all of us, and she does an awesome job with that. I mean, but it's made my life easier, and I would recommend it to anyone. The key is just finding the right person.
It is different, but I think they're a wonderful group of people. It's odd that you would be into a competition sport like that and have so many friends involved. I mean, it's not cutthroat, and everybody's wife and girlfriend will come over and talk, and it actually is a family reunion when you can go and see everybody and talk to them at the race.
Visitors are a welcome and common sight at the Hawkins' home in Travelers Rest, South Carolina. The house includes a large open area Randy calls his fun room, complete with an archery range, a basketball hoop, a full kitchen and bar, and a foosball table.
I think another thing is sometimes you hear people say you got to grow up. I think that's another thing about a motorcycle rider. We do it because we love to do it, and I guess we got plenty of time to grow up. But there's always a lot of little fun things going on, and it's a good time. And well, as I say, you got a lot of time to grow up, so why don't I grow up right now?
Well, if you own a house where you can play basketball inside, I guess you don't have to grow up. Randy Hawkins, 6-time National Enduro Champ. Fred Andrews is still the leader. And running in second is Rodney Smith. What a combination. It occurs to me that Mike Lafferty has dropped back. Now he's running in about 5th place there. And I wonder, is the heat and humidity starting to take a toll? We're down to under 2 laps to go.
Oh, it's got to. For some of these riders, and I would think Freddie would be one of those guys because he was hurt. He didn't get to ride the whole thing. Mike Kardowski, there's a guy is going to be in shape and be at the finish. Jason Raines, a young kid, we're not sure what kind of physical shape he's in. So we got a good mix up front. It's going to be interesting to see how this all turns out.
Here's another hitch in the ball game. Rider number 1, defending champ Shane Watts, has closed the gap considerably on the leaders. He could be a factor before this is over.
Yeah, this is kind of starting to look a little bit like North Carolina. Here they are coming into the Christmas tree lane section we talked about earlier. And Freddie, he's out front controlling the pace. And
yeah, hovering right behind him, Rodney Smith, Josh McLeavy. Check this out. There is rider number 12, Mike Kidrowski. Oh, man, you know what? You don't want a hiccup out there. You can't hiccup. Just look at these guys putting the pressure on him.
Yes, and we've already seen it a few times today. A guy makes a little teeny tiny mistake. He goes from first to fourth instantly. And we're coming up on the last lap. Here comes Watsy. He's, in 7th place, but he's a very close 7th place. Right in front of that dust cloud is the lead group.
He's still riding in the dust of the leaders, as a matter of fact. That's how close he is right now. Andrews is heading for the checkpoint one more time, the home check, and he will get the white flag this time around, signifying 1 lap to go. Boy, oh boy, here he comes. There's a white flag, and there's Rodney right behind him. Boy, now those two experienced riders will really put the pressure on each other. Hey, we'll be back to see how this one winds out. Hey, welcome back to Big Buck Ranch, Grand National Championship Cross Country Racing. Jimmy Jarrett is out, I think probably a victim of the heat. You said that would happen. Paul Edmondson is another rider that has dropped out. Take a look at the race reset.
Yeah, boy, those guys are out, though. What we want to talk about is Freddie Andrews, Rodney Smith, Shane Watts. Those guys are up front going fast. Mike Lafferty, he seems to be going in the other direction right now.
Well, Lafferty has that problem on occasion in the heat and the humidity, and today apparently it is a factor. He's going to get it together and win one before the year is out. That's my prediction. We're looking at 3rd place, Josh McLeavy. Immediately in front of him was Rodney Smith, and then our leader, of course, is Fred Andrews. And look at this battle for 4th. Just as I said that apparently Lafferty was fading, or you said he looks like he's rebounding.
Yeah, maybe, Alan Rant wrote something on his pit board, got him excited here.
Jason Raines holding down the number 4 position as Andrews pops into view, followed by, and that's Jason Raines now up to 3rd place. He's made up some ground. No, McLeavy is gone.
Yeah, and these front 3, they're starting to separate themselves a little bit. I expected Rodney and Freddie to do that, but Jason, he's surprising me here today.
Josh McLeavy apparently dropping out of the race as we listen to the squeal of brakes from Shane Watts' motorcycle. Here's Andrews. He's your leader. Keep in mind, we're on the last lap. Keep in mind that these guys have been riding for a considerable number of miles in extreme heat, and they're that close together. Oh, it has to be taxing on them. From the KTM Motocam, we're following, who's that? It's a battle for the lead.
Yeah, that's Rodney Smith, and Rodney really thrives on conditions like this. The hotter it is, the tougher it is. He knows he's in shape, and he wins a lot of these races because of that.
Rodney Smith right on the rear wheel of Fred Andrews. That's Andrews kicking up the dust in front of Smith. They're very close together. Shane Watts continues to close the gap. He's in 4th place. And for the life of me, I don't know how he has time to wave at the camera.
Oh, what do we have here?
What is that?
There's Freddie Andrews, one of those bridges. Freddie's picking his bike up. Shane Watts was actually riding over the top of Freddie's bike there. I wonder if he and Rodney got together coming down there, or if Fred just made a mistake at the heat with all that pressure.
Fred Andrews was on the ground. He was the leader. That makes Rodney Smith the new leader.
And Jason Raines is in second.
Jason Raines in second.
And then that would put Watsy up. There's Watsy. He's in 3rd place. And this is North Carolina all over again.
And Mark, we still have not seen Fred Andrews, so he's back to, what, 5th or 6th place, I would imagine, as Smith holds the lead. Raines second low. Boy, that is tight.
Yes. And one thing that's really going to help Rodney here, he's got Jason Raines behind him. I don't want to take anything away from Jason, but he's used to having Watsy behind him, Freddie behind him, so this could give Rodney a lot of confidence. He's probably not going to worry about Jason as much as he would Shane Watts.
What he should be doing, though, is worrying about everyone because they are all going so fast. One little hiccup, and they are. Here's Fred Andrews. Oh, he only went back to 4th place. So Fred, whatever his problem was, we know he was down. He was up, got the bike fired, and quickly got on it, got going, and now holds on to 4th place.
Yeah, but his chance at the win is gone, which he was hoping for. And Jason Raines, he's got to be careful here. This is Watts' best spot. Uh-oh, he's working him hard.
Rodney Smith had opened up a lead. Look at that. And there goes Raines looking over at him. Raines looked over and said, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why I'm trying to ride with the national champ. And he almost gave him that position. I think he was intimidated.
Yes, Watts has a thing of doing that to guys. Jason, he's had a great ride today, and he could get Wattsy back before the day's over. He doesn't have a lot of time left. But when you hit a grass track, Shane Watts, he's so good at him. He just put so much pressure on Jason that he kind of folded there.
I think he hollered. I think he hollered at him, and Jason said, oh, he's right, I better get out of the way. And probably as soon as he went by, he started kicking himself.
Yeah.
In any event, it gave some breathing room to this guy who was headed for his second win of the year, and he will take, Shane Watts, his second place of the year, I believe.
Yep. Yes, you're right. If Rodney can get around these next two corners, he's got it in the bag. But, you know, here he comes. He's heading for the big checkered flag. But like Wattsy said early in the year, he says, I'm the only guy that can finish on the podium every week. These other guys are going to be up and down. Well, he's looking like a prophet now. And boy, look at Jason Raines, a young kid. He's got to be thrilled. That was a fantastic ride for him.
Wattsy also said he was going to win every race. We'll be back to hear from the winners after this. GNCC Racing, brought to you in part by KTM Sport Motorcycles and by CD Boots. Welcome back. Shane Watts suffering a little bit, I would say, after that great ride along with Jason Raines, who looks mighty happy to be on the podium. Let's go to Bob Walker, who is in winner's circle.
I knew you were going to. Round 4 winner, Rodney Smith. How were the conditions out there today?
Yeah, it was real hot and humid. My Suzuki's working really well. Casey Bolton's been doing a good job, and I dug down deep. I'm definitely tired today, but I'm glad to come out on top.
You rode the last 2 laps with a broken foot peg. What happened there?
Actually, it's a brake pedal, and I clipped one of the poles out there on the grass track, and it just came in a little too hot, and luckily enough, I still was able to win.
Rodney Smith definitely in the title hunt. He has 2 wins matching up with Shane Watts. We'll watch him in round 5.
Here are the Racer X results. Rodney Smith on top, Watts, Raines, and Randy Hawkins coming home in a decent position, and Mike Lafferty sliding all the way to 8th. Let's go back to Bob Walker, who is in the winner's circle. This time he's with the defending Grand National champ, Shane Watts.
Second place, Shane Watts. Shane, what happened on the starting line? You bolted just before the start.
Well, I had a slight mechanical failure with my rear brake, and I thought I fixed it from last week, but I got on the line, and you know, that's the great thing about KTM. I know that I can go and swap over a complete brake system in less than 3 minutes. And I got back out there and things worked perfectly. Like, you know, the bike is unreal. Thanks heaps to all my sponsors, MSR, great clothing, Scott Goddles, all my sponsors. That, you know, Unreal Products is a very hard day today. I'm totally spent. Maybe I did a little bit of overtraining during the week, and it bit me today, but congratulations to the other 2 guys. They rode extremely well. Today was a good day for the championship. Get some good points, and we'll come back strong next time.
Well, you're definitely 1-2 with Rodney Smith. You both have 2 victories now. You're a few points ahead. Any plans for round 5?
Well, obviously just come out and try my best, have fun. I wasn't having all that fun at the start today. It was really hot, but I dug deep. It's all about persistence on days like this, and I just hung in there and waited for the mistakes and ended up in second. And so it's just a great day, and it's excellent to just get out of here and get home for a rest.
Good ride on the part of Shane Watts. He leads Rodney Smith, who won today's race by 20 points. Lafferty, Hatch, McLeavy, Andrews. Let's go back to Bob Walker, who was with 3rd place finisher.
Jason Raines, you finally broke through. How does it feel to get on the podium?
It feels so good. I mean, so many people have been helping me for the past 3 years when I moved here from Washington State, and all the hard work is finally beginning to pay off. I really feel good about today.
You learn much running up front with those 2 champions?
Yeah, that last lap, it's really crazy. It's anybody's race, really. I mean, there were so many guys, and a few of us, since it was hot, got tired. And yeah, I learned to just don't fall and don't make any mistakes those last 2 laps, and then you'll be okay.
Jitterbugs out there in that last lap. I know we spoke to your dad in the pits. He was about ready to have a cardiac arrest that last lap.
Oh, that last lap. I've had so many bad things happen on that last lap because you're tired. You're trying to go your very hardest. There's guys all around you, and yeah, I had some real bad jitterbugs, but I just told myself to focus and just bear down and ride smooth.
What is that?
That would be Brazuca. That was Rodney's nickname when he lived in Brazil and won 4 national championships down there, and that was his happy wife, Lori, showing it to us.
Well, that's all right. Hey, for Bob Walker, Jen Hildreth, and my broadcast partner, Mark Hyde, I'm Larry Myers. So long, everyone.